Welcome to News and Views. I'm Danae Jones and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this week's segment. Today we're at the Pacific Hotel in the Cairns CBD. The Pacific Hotel Cairns has just launched their new Tropical Luxe room collection, setting a new standard in unique luxury in Cairns. Each room has been developed with the guest in mind, incorporating sumptuous linen lounges paired with tropical themed cushions, tranquil handmade artwork, luxurious carpet underfoot, Congo tropical armchairs and oversized wall-mounted flat-screen TVs. Each room features beautifully appointed en-suites with Italian metallic surfaces and stunning natural stone showers. The Tropical Luxe Standard and Deluxe Room Collection is an addition to the Pacific Hotel Cairns' 176 rooms already on offer. Today we're talking to Kevin Byrne, CEO of Enterprise North. Enterprise North was founded by the former Cairns Mayor, as he says he saw a gap in the market for regional advocacy. Welcome to News and Views, Kevin.
Lovely to be with you today.
It is, and how beautiful is this redevelopment?
It is gorgeous, actually. It's quite wonderful, and the first time I've been here, it's stunning.
Well,
stunning.
Not the first time, but first time since the development.
Oh yes, certainly, yeah.
And this was the first hotel to be built in Cairns all those years
ago. I was here at the time, and the Cairns family, wonderful family, and when it was open, they did it in a partnership with Ansett Airlines at the time.
Yeah, right.
And I was lucky enough to be invited along to the official opening.
Well, there you go. Lots of long-time memories.
My word, and really positive ones. Like the Cairns family have just been wonderful contributors to our economy and our city over many, many decades, and proudly so.
Definitely, and we've got lots of other hotels popping up around the city at the moment too, so exciting times for the region.
It is exciting, and to see those cranes on the skyline again after an absence of many, many years. We've been doing it tough since the GFC in 2008, and we've still got some lingering scars of that era. But yeah, it is a very positive time for the city, I think.
Now, Enterprise North, there is a lot of people out there that say, Kevin set that up because he had sour grapes because of the whole Advance Cairns debacle. What have you got to say to people that say that?
Oh, that's nonsense. Enterprise North was set up because I saw a need for regional advocacy under the banner of the Northern Australia Initiative. And our purpose was to escalate the larger issues and the larger advocacy areas that I thought were missing. Advance Cairns, certainly in my view, I had a role in establishing Advance Cairns in 2001, and the reason it was established then is very different to the way Advance Cairns is operating today.
Yeah, you were actually one of the founders, weren't you?
Absolutely. I was mayor at the time, and I got together a group of people and said it's time for us to really have a unified approach about our advocacy as a city. We need to internationalise our view of where we were going, and we needed a macro version of where Cairns was sitting in Northern Australia. So we did that, and we opened up Cairns to China. I took 6 trade and investment missions to China, and we also had a closer cooperation with Papua New Guinea. And we really sort of put Cairns on an international plane, I guess, for want of a better term. Mind you, we had great cooperation then from the then Port Authority that owned the seaport and the airport. There was a little bit of dynamic leadership around in those days, and they were vital institutions for the city. So all in all, that was a very productive period for this city, and I'm very proud to be involved with it. When I came back, it was different. Advance Cairns was still there, but it was a new model. And I maintain to this day that it is a flawed model of management. You essentially buy your seat at the table, and it has evolved that way. I was uncomfortable. So when I left Advance Cairns, it was a very public leaving, sadly.
A very hurtful and painful time for everyone that was involved, I think.
Well, perhaps it wasn't for some. There was delight on the faces of some, but
painful for you, having founded it.
Very painful for me. Very painful for me. But I realised that I had to move on. I couldn't work in that environment and be productive. So I accepted it on the chin, and then a number of people who were, in fact, at the time Advance Cairns members, made approaches to me, and I was encouraged by the Mayor and others to look at establishing an organisation that had a different representative focus for the region and the city, and that's where we're at. And we're very comfortable being there, I must tell you. It's been a bit of a slog to get where we're at, but we're positive, and we have an agenda that's different to Advance Cairns. And as I said, it's an agenda focused on sustainable development across the region and across similar jurisdictions like the Northern Territory and the north of West Australia, where we have similar economies, and we need a different approach to the way those economies are going to work, and the direction of our engagement with those economies into Asia and Melanesia to the right of us. And we can see that being played out as we speak with APEC in Port Moresby, with discussion around defence ties between Papua New Guinea and Australia, or increasing defence ties that will link Cairns, will link our naval base here with what's going to happen in the region more particularly, and that will flow into migration issues and will flow into development of the economy in a more sustainable and stronger way.
Now, you've got a huge background in PNG and obviously in the military, so that's obviously something you know a lot about. When you talk about our defence capacity to expand and the linkages with PNG, do you think that this is something that will happen in, our lifetime?
Oh, absolutely. I think it'll happen immediately for us. What we do need, though, is to be prepared for that. And I've been critical of the lack of planning for the inevitability of this sort of engagement that many of us could see coming for quite a while. Once China started to put its foot in the Pacific, it was inevitable that Australia would have to follow, certainly in upgrading capacity in the near region. What does that mean for us being so close? A lot. And these opportunities need to be taken with both hands. We need a port plan, for example, that is going to be reflected of a growing naval presence, increasing number of cruise ships, a growing maritime fleet taking people out to the reef, an increased number of boats and involved in the fishing industry. And we're growing this region and this city. We're going to double the population in another 30 years. So if you use that as a benchmark, and that's going to happen, you're obviously going to double the capacity and output of the Cairns port. So we have to make sure we've got enough space to do that. We've got to make sure that the Navy has enough space to grow and develop. We need to make sure that we can get the larger cruise ships in. So there's a lot of planning and a lot of synergy around how the council, how the Port Authority, how the airport and these organisations work in developing the Cairns regional economy.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of the port and the dredging of the inlet and all of those issues, which have been really hot topics, and there's polar opposite views on both sides, what's your opinion around the port and allowing that space for expansion?
Oh, I'm very positive that it could be done. I've got no time for those people that said, no, we're going to be a boutique port, we're not going to develop, we've got all these environmental issues and so on. I recognise that we are in an environmentally constrained space, but I also say, loud and long, that all the environmental issues have a solution to them. We have to be positive about going forward and getting that solution together and cooperate and talk between the federal, state and local governments and the port to make sure it happens. I've got no time, absolutely no time for people who just want to dumb us down and dumb down the capacity for this region to grow and develop. There will be in excess of 300,000 people here by the year 2045 in the city. That's pretty well double our population. The region will go from current 270,000 to about 550,000. I mean, this is just great opportunity for young people to come to our part of the world, live and grow our space and grow families in this region. And I've been passionate about this for most of my life, and thankfully I've got the energy and passion to keep it going. And people say, oh look, it's time for new thinking. It's time for a lot of these people to go away. Well, we're not. We're here in the space, and we're going to keep advocating positively for growth and development.
And so on that note, what are some of the projects that you've been working on at the moment?
Well, I've been working, interestingly, with a group in the Northern Territory, in fact, Bespoke Consulting, and the leader of that group is an ex-Chief Minister of the Northern Territory. And so we're looking at developing a common population policy. There's a lot of talk and noise about that at the moment. We want to get rid of the hurdles about employing people here. We need to get rid of the hurdles about bringing migrants into our part of the world. I'm just bemused by this debate occurring down south of, let's cap our cities and our populations and so on. Regional Australia is hurting. We're quite happy to take the overflow if you're happy to send them up here, because it means that we will grow as a community, or communities, plural. And so I have a focus, and Enterprise North has a focus on growing our population and making sure that we have capacity to train people, we have capacity in our universities, we have capacity in our workforce to absorb all these people. And I think that's a great challenge. It's not a negative for us. So we've got to think openly, and we've got to think outwardly, and we've got to think inclusively. And the economic growth and development is integral to the success of future regional councils, integral to the success of our airport, integral to the success of our seaport, integral to the growth of agricultural pursuits on the Atherton Tablelands. We can't argue conclusively for change unless we've got good representation at the state and federal government, good representation in council. So it's a whole of regional approach. I can bend everybody's ear for hours on this issue, but we've got to have a focus and a vision to make sure this happens, and we can't operate in silos, which is what's largely happening now in this great city. We operate in silos. We've got to get rid of that mentality, and we've got to operate together.
So I know we've spoken off camera before, and you're very much all for collaboration, but there is a thought out there that we have too many organisations or advocacy groups that are working in silos. What do you have to say to those people?
Well, I don't think so. I think all the more the merrier, to be frank with you. Once upon a time I thought that we could have the one. The danger of having the one is it becomes a fiefdom of one particular individual. It becomes a fiefdom of a person and his collaborators to drive a direction that's not in parallel or sync with the Cairns Regional Council or the federal government or the state government. Here in Cairns now we have a tourism TDNQ, we've got Advance Cairns, we have Enterprise North, we've got the Chamber of Commerce. I don't see any harm in that. The harm comes when people say, look, we are the only regional representative body. We are it. Well, they don't have any right to say that. I mean, we're all working to the same goal, and the goal is to grow this region collaboratively. And that's where I sit. So I don't see any conflict there about where we're heading.
Excellent. Now, in terms of membership and how Enterprise North is structured and how people get involved, how does it work?
Well, we're an incorporated association. We have a president, which is me, and also executive manager. I didn't want the job, but when I was asked to put it all together, I did. And of course, when we were in the room and agreed that we would go ahead and so on, I said, right, I need the following people I need these positions filled. And there was silence in the room, and everybody looked at me and said, look, you've been involved in this sort of stuff before, we want you to do that. So I gave an undertaking that I would to establish the organisation and guide it. So then we have a treasurer and we have a secretary. So we started off with the core group of 7, and we now have 19 and growing. And it's been tough. We're a startup in a crowded space, for want of a better term. I accept that and I acknowledge that. But the spirit of our establishment was based on a group of people who left one organisation and headed in another direction. And I've been pretty proud of our achievements. So we've got a website. We meet we're meeting next Thursday actually as a group. We have our newsletters that go out. All the details are on our website. We've got different member categories. Yep. We're cheaper than similar organisations. I've got to put my hand up to say that. And we're an inclusive organisation. We talk about things a lot, and I send a lot of newsletters out, and we pick up the phone to each other. And I think that's one of the great advantages of when you're small. When we grow bigger and larger, obviously I'll have to relook at that and relook at the engagement. But the engagement is open, it's honest, it's apolitical, and it's collaborative. So, that's a pretty potent combination to make something work.
Absolutely, and I think absolutely being apolitical is a key
Yep.
point of difference too, which is fantastic. Well, we wish you every success with
Thank
the
you.
organisation. We watch with anticipation to see what Kevin Byrne comes up with next and what he is striving for our community, because we know that you have delivered so much for Far North Queensland to date, and we thank you for that. And we hope you come back on the show and tell us all of your updates and where you're headed with Enterprise North.
Danae, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for your good wishes.
Thank you. So there you have it, folks. Kevin Byrne, CEO of Enterprise North, and also the original founder of Advance Cairns and our former Cairns Mayor, here on News and Views. That's all we have for you this week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook. See you next week.